Welcome. Hi, this is Gwen Leopard, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Wendy Byford. And I did get your name pronounced correctly, yes?
Absolutely, yes.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here, Wendy. You've been where many people have been. You're a corporate America escapee. You thought that you for the good education, good job, then retire, that was the way to go. I mean, that was your programming. That's the way you grew up. That's what you were told is how you live life. And you did 25 years in corporate America. Wow. Those are some golden handcuffs, I'm sure. And then you decided you decided to get into business for yourself. So you were a coach, speaker, trainer, and you had a 7-figure small business with several employees. And I've always been curious because I've known you for a while, and I've always been curious, what is the 7-figure business she had? Because of course, you know that when you can step up and run a business at 7 figures and have employees as a small business owner like myself, it's like, how did you do that? I'm just so curious. And we will talk about some other things as well. I know that you're now a certified quantum success coach, and so excited to learn more about that. And you say that we are 96% energy. And so if we're in opposition to our energy, that's a lot of opposition. That's only 4% working for you if you're against your energy. So I definitely want to know more about that. I know that people can get a 15-minute clarity call with you. I highly recommend it. I've done work with you and you're extraordinary at what you do. And we'll give them the link to that a little later on. I would like to go with why your energy is more important than your actions, as that be our primary focus today. But welcome to the interview. Welcome to the call. Welcome to my little world.
Well, thank you. I am really, really pleased to be here, and it's an honor to be able to speak to your audience.
Thank you so much. So yeah, let's tell me a little bit about why your energy is more important than your actions. Because so many people, it's like do, and but if 96% is energy, that's really important. What?
Right. Well, 96% of you is energy. And if you don't have your energy aligned with what it is that you want to do, then you're going to end up in a position where you're basically self-sabotaging. You're not going to be able to get where you want to go, or it's going to take you so much longer because you're not dealing with the energetic part of yourself. Now, for those of you who may have seen The Secret, you probably either said, oh, great, all I have to do is meditate and then, bags of money will come to me. Or you looked at it and said, all of this is garbage. And if you consider yourself a serious business person, then you probably said, well, this is just, it's all hype and really has nothing to do with anything. But the answer is really that you need both parts. You need the 4% energy or the 4% matter that you are. You have to do things. But before you do things, you have to get your energy in line because everything happens in energy. Everything is energetic before it comes into form. If you look at the way that quantum physics is going right now and you follow any of this, and I'm fascinated by this, right? When they get down to what's really in the universe, they're now at the point where they're thinking that the most important thing out there is thought, right? Well, right. So that really means that if you don't have your thoughts and your beliefs and your words aligned with those actions, you're not going anywhere, or it's going to take you 2, 3, 4 times as long, and you're going to have to keep restarting. So the energy part is so very important, first of all, to acknowledge, right, that there is an energy component. It's the way the universe is set up. There is an energy component. You and I are mostly energy, but we also need to get it in alignment with those actions because we are 3D. We are material. We have to do actions, but they need to be in alignment with that energy. So a lot of what I coach on with business people is clarity, focus, and alignment, making sure that in that last step, when they are ready to get out there and zoom along their path, that everything is aligned so that they can start to condense the timeline for getting where they want to go.
Absolutely. And you're saying, I mean, you're talking about quantum physics. So do I need to be able to read quantum physics to understand all of this?
No, absolutely
Oh,
not.
thank goodness.
Right. Not everyone in the world, spends their evenings reading this stuff. I realize, there are a few of us that are a little crazy. Thank goodness my husband is a scientist, so I actually can ask him to explain things, because otherwise it would take me forever to read this. But I am fascinated with the things that they're finding and how rapidly the knowledge is expanding. You don't really need to read quantum physics. You don't have to understand quantum mechanics. You don't have to understand any of this stuff to really use your energy. All that you need to understand is how to use your feelings as a guidepost. And so let's take something really simple.
Yeah. And yes, let's do that. And then I want to go back to your story a little bit. I want to know a little bit more about you, but go ahead and let's do this exercise first. I'm excited about this.
Okay. So let's say that you've decided that you want to set up a business, and your business is going to be, I'm going to pull something from a lady I love, Meg Campbell. And so you want to build lanterns. Okay. That's your thing. You want to build lanterns, and you want to etch glass, and you want to do all of this stuff. Right. And you're thinking, oh my goodness, I've got this energy component. What do I do with this? She said, I have to get into alignment. The most important thing is to always go inside and see how you feel. So if you say, I'm going to build a business, doing, what I love, which is lanterns, go inside and see, how does that feel? Right. And just pay attention to anything in you that may feel a little off. Now, when I said I'm going to build a business making lanterns, actually inside me, there's a little thing going, I don't think so. Right. There's a little bit of energy going in there. I think you're off on this one, Byford. So, but if this is your thing, then go inside, go into where you normally feel. All right. So where you normally feel may be in your heart area, it may be in your throat area, it may be in your stomach area, but just see how that feels. Do you have peace? Do you have calm? Or is there a little bit of turmoil in that area? And if there's a little bit of turmoil, then kind of break it down. Is it because maybe this isn't the business for you, or maybe you don't think that you can start a business? There may be some limiting beliefs in there that need to be taken care of. So you're not in alignment yet. When you're in alignment, you're in your truth. You're standing in your power. Everything from your thoughts and the way that you feel, from your hearing your truth, you're seeing your truth, you're speaking your truth, you're feeling truth, you're standing in your truth. All of that is in alignment, and you feel calm and at peace, like this is the greatest thing. And yes, I'm going to do that. That's being in alignment. So you don't need to understand quantum physics. You don't even have to understand why this works. You just have to be able to use your feelings as a barometer to tell when you're in alignment and when you're not, and when you're not, to deal with it. And if you don't know how to deal with it yourself, get yourself a coach.
Yes. Awesome. So when you created this 7-figure small business,
Mm-hmm.
can you tell us, one, a little bit about what kind of business that was? And two, were you in alignment?
Okay. So how I started that business is actually quite funny, because it's not something I meant to start, quite honestly. I was going to be a coach. So we're talking like 20 years ago. And I had decided to leave corporate America and go out and build my own business. And I worked around that for a little while. I worked with a friend of mine trying to help her with her business. And I did a couple of other things that really didn't feel right, seriously didn't feel right. And then I decided that I wanted to coach. I had been studying with Bob Proctor for a little while. and liked his material. And this was the first time that he was going to allow anybody to coach his material. And so I went into that program to become a coach. And then later on, I went on to study, some of the people who had studied with him, like John Asraf, and, people that you've probably seen in The Secret. And I was going to be a coach, and I did start getting coaching clients, and I was really happy with that. And I went into a program to learn to build my business, actually, as it turned out. And in that program, I knew a lot about how to set up limited liability companies and corporations and what they could do and what they couldn't do and how to work with them. And I knew a lot of this stuff. I had, when I was in university, my undergraduate degree was honors history. And I missed the class where they said that old historians become attorneys. So I had this kind of legal bug in me, but I didn't want to be an attorney. And I just knew a lot about this stuff, this LLCs and corporations. And so in this class, when the instructor came to the part where she was talking about this topic, people kept creeping up to my chair, asking me if what she was saying was correct. And I would say things like, yeah, you could do it that way, or you could do it this way, or you could do it this way. Right? Anyway, it got embarrassing because I was at the front of the class and people kept creeping up to my chair asking me. So at the break, she called me over and I thought, oh, great, I'm going to get kicked out of the course because people are asking me questions. And she said, look, I've wanted to start this type of company. Are you willing to do this with me? And I said, no, I'm not interested. I'm going to be a coach. I feel good about being a coach. I've got some clients, I really want to do this. Well, she was really unhappy about it because she really wanted to start this business and she figured she'd got the person to work with. And I didn't want any part of it. Well, my husband went to the same program, but in the class after me, and she cornered him. And she said, look, you guys really need to start this business with me. And my husband called me and he said, what do you want me to tell her? And I said, oh, just get her off your back. Tell her I'll think about it. And 10 minutes later, he called me back and he said, we're in trouble. And I said, why? And he said, well, she's at the front of the class and she's jumping up and down and hugging one of the coaches. And I thought, you're right, we're in trouble. So I started doing some background work, some research on what it would take to build this business. And she really had in mind what she wanted. And she was the one with the audience, okay, because she was a speaker and she had all these people that she wanted to serve. And so at that point, even though I'd spent 30 years in corporate America and I was a global business development manager, like I traveled all over the world, I had a fair amount of power. But
my goodness, there's just so much more to you than we know. Thank you for dropping that little tidbit.
So she just really wanted to do it her way. And I said, okay, well, let's start it that way and see how it goes. The thing that really drew me was that I knew that people, when they got their limited liability companies or their corporations, nobody ever taught them anything about it. They just gave them a piece of paper and told them to go away and use it. So they never realized that you've got some obligations when you set this stuff up. And there was nowhere for them to go with questions. And so what attracted me was the teaching part of it, the coaching part of it, because I've always loved helping people. And this was so important to me. And it's actually important to my husband as well. In fact, he was a realtor when I started the business. And after a few months, he was not very happy being a realtor because he said everybody in real estate lies, right? It was difficult for him. And I said, well, come work with me, right? We can grow this business together. And so we started to grow the business. Now, this is really important. This is where the energy part comes in.
Yes, I knew you'd bring it back.
Yeah. I was in my element. I loved this. I just loved it because I was helping people, coaching people, which was so much more important to me than the actual filing. I had taken a certificate as a paralegal. And so the filing was like, I can do that in my sleep. But helping people understand, that was really important to me. And we never gave legal advice. Of course, that's not, you can't do that.
Right.
But I could always give them options. Right? Generally speaking, this is what you can do. And now you need to choose. And if you don't know how, if you're in a situation where you can't choose or you're going through a divorce or whatever, then you need to go to your attorney first and then come back to me and I'll do the legal paperwork. So we were legal document preparers, and we were coaches. We were business coaches. We helped them, understand, the generalities around what their LLCs could and couldn't do and how to, look after them. So we were just in our element for years. And then this business partner wanted to change the complexion of the company. She wanted something from another company, and they wouldn't give it to her unless they got the LLC business. And so the whole complexion of the company changed, not just the fact that we were now partnering with a company that we really didn't know, but also the type of clients coming in was really different. And what happened was the energy of that company changed.
You felt it.
We felt it. Now, I came from corporate America, right? I know how to outsource. I know how to hire employees. I know how to automate. And so we did that. We actually set up that business so that we could have doubled, tripled, quadrupled it without batting an eyelash, right? Because I knew how to do that. So we grew into 7 figures, but the energy every day was weighing on me. And I have to admit that there were days when I really did not want to get out of bed.
So if somebody's in a business and they don't want to get out of bed, they're probably not in alignment.
They are not in alignment.
They are not in alignment.
Right. And so just around the time that COVID was just starting to hit, this business, the business partners that we had, they were all seminar companies with live seminars. And of course, everything tanked and the company crashed and burned. Now, it's easy to say, oh, COVID killed it, right? And it's not dead. We actually still service a lot of the clients that we had because we love them and we never want them to feel like there's nobody there to help them. Right. And so we still set up LLCs for these people. We still talk to them. We still provide support for these people.
And is that in a specific state then? Because I know LLCs are so you can do it all over the
we
globe?
did it in whatever, we did it in whatever state. Yeah. In the United States.
United States.
Whatever state they wanted. So we talked to these people and continued to support them. But by the time these partners crashed and burned, my heart wasn't in it anymore and hadn't been for a long time. And I honestly believe I will take responsibility for the fact that I killed the business because my heart wasn't there anymore. Could I have done other things? Absolutely. Could I have kept the business going? Absolutely. I could have done any number of things, but my heart wasn't there anymore. And so my energy wasn't there anymore. And so I take full responsibility for what happened to that business. And the fact that now the way that we run it is because we love the people that we're serving and we want them to really, get the best that they can. And so when they come to us and say, well, would you be willing to work with us? Then the answer is, of course.
Of course.
So,
well, and that really explains how you can sabotage your efforts when you ignore the energy.
Absolutely.
That actually is just a wonderful example of what happened because you took responsibility for your energy not being in alignment and it sounds like you've actually shifted it to something that is in alignment and you're still helping people. You're just not the big 7-figure business anymore.
Well, it's one of those things where everything in life is an experience. And so having built a 7-figure business before, kind of been there, done that, got the t-shirt, don't really need to do that again, right? So, so the business that I'm building right now as a quantum success coach and teaching people about their energy and getting them unstuck and on their way to building their dream business, that to me is a lot more important, a lot more fun. And I can, build a very nice lifestyle business doing that without having to have all of the other trappings of having a 7-figure business. And so that's what I'm doing right now. And I have to say that really is where my heart is, because when I talk about it, I can feel the energy.
You just light up. Yeah, you just light up. I want to ask a question for all those that are listening that, have maybe started a business, or they're struggling with one, or they're thinking about one. How can we tell if we're on the right path? And I know that maybe the answer is similar to, feeling it in your body, but what more can you give us?
Okay. So to know that you're on the right path is, first of all, when you talk about the business that you want to build, you have to feel joy, right? If you don't, if you are saying, well, I'm doing this because I know how, then you know that this is going to put food on the table. It's not going to feed your soul. Okay, that's the best way that I can put it. Whatever is going to feed your soul is, you're going to feel joy. You're going to feel happiness. You're going to feel like, I can't wait to do this, right? If you get up in the morning and say, well, I'm doing this, and it's okay, I enjoy doing it, but it's not something where you're just beaming, then this is putting food on the table. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want you to feel like, if you have a job working for someone else, or you're doing something that you know how to do, perhaps as a consultant, but it's not something you're overjoyed with, that you have to run out and say, hey, I'm out of here. I'm going to go do what I love. There's a transition period that you can go through into doing what you love. And perhaps what you love is actually a hobby. Perhaps what you love is a side gig. Right? So you're doing something in corporate America, or working for somebody else in a small business, but on the side, you're doing something that you truly love. Maybe after work, you go and you work with kids, right? And you help them, you coach them, you do whatever. And this brings you so much joy. And maybe while you're doing that, you're building your skills and you're building your reputation, so that maybe 10 years down the road, you may have a business doing that. But right now, you're learning, you're kind of building your muscles in that particular area. And there is nothing wrong with that, right? Just be aware that if you don't feel absolute joy when you think about what it is that you're doing, that this isn't the ultimate path that you're here to take. And eventually you can get there. Just right now, we all have to eat. We all have to, pay rent or our mortgage or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with your doing what you're doing. Just be aware that there's something out there that you have the potential to really make it sing for you.
And that's for everyone. So if I get what you're saying, that there are many different paths, but the path that gives you joy, and it may just be a hobby, it may be something that you do in your spare time that maybe eventually can be a business.
Absolutely.
But there are different paths that you can take, but everyone can get to joy. Is that what I hear you saying?
Absolutely. Everybody can get to joy. And it doesn't mean that, if you're completely lost, that, there's no path for you, right? Sometimes we don't know what we want. We don't know what brings us joy. And the way that we find out is by talking to other people. Usually, you take
so looking outside of yourself is how you find your joy. Because
well,
it seems that most people say going inside yourself is how you find joy. So I'd like more on that, please.
When you go inside yourself, if you are really lost and you don't know, then you're just going to go around in circles, right? Mm-hmm. So if you talk to other people about, what they're doing, sometimes you're going to hit on somebody that is like, oh, gee, what they're doing is really interesting. Not exactly the way that they're doing it, maybe not precisely what they're doing, but that area is so enticing, right? Mm-hmm. I really want to learn more about that. And then you can do a really simple exercise that Michael Lozier uses, that you sit down and you start writing down all the things that you don't like, that you don't want. Because a lot of times we figure out what we want by looking at what we don't want, right? This is a 3D world. We are in a universe of polarity here, right? So there are things that we can learn from what we don't like. We can learn what we do like by stating what we don't like. And so if you start writing down all of the things that you don't like, and then say, well, if I don't like that, what would really make my heart sing? Right? What would really be great for me? And then write down what you do like. Out of that process, from talking to other people what they're doing and looking at what you don't like and what you do like, you're going to hit on something that you start to feel joy. And it may take you a while to build, because in this world, a lot of times there is so much negativity to fight through that it is really hard to get to a point where you feel joy. Right? You get up in the morning and it's just same old, same old, same old. And it's kind of like you're just fighting your way through molasses, and it doesn't feel like anything brings you joy. And if that's the case, even talking to other people, there's nothing that anybody that you know is doing, or anything that you listen to on a podcast is kind of pinging you to say, gee, that's a really interesting area. Then sit down and start writing down everything you don't like about your business, whatever business you're in, and start looking at what you would really, really like it to be, and be as clear as you can. And then start saying, when I say that, do I feel joy? Right? So if I'm an introvert, for example, and I'm in customer service in a company, right? This may be hell on earth for me. Right? Because I'm getting, every time I pick up the phone, it's negative, negative, negative. People are yelling, people are screaming, they're unhappy. And that's what I get all day long. And when I come home, I am completely drained, and I just don't want to talk to people, but I've got children at home and a husband, and I have to cook, and I have to look after the kids, and all of these things. And by the time it's 10 o'clock at night, all I want to do is sit in the bathroom, bang my head against a wall, right?
So
that may be my life.
yes, that may be your life. I'm going to ask for a solution on that. But first, there's a question that's hanging here in the field.
Sure.
What do you say to people that their joy changes over time, that as their life evolves, that something that gave them joy at one point and that they, wanted to bring as a business evolved into something different? Is that a journey? What do you say to someone like that, that maybe what brings them joy at one point is not the same thing down the road?
It's going to happen, because we evolve as human beings. We evolve materially, we evolve energetically. And so what brought you joy at the beginning, as you continue to evolve, may not bring you as much joy, but something else that you can see in the future is calling to you. And you may have had joy in something initially because you needed to build a foundation. You needed to get some experience in that area. Okay. And so once you've got that experience, you're starting to see there's another possibility, and that's calling to you. So you're continuously evolving, and there's nothing wrong with saying, this thing brought me joy, and now it no longer does, but this is calling to me, and I really want to explore that. It's interesting.
So letting go of something that you could, because people can get very attached to their identity as a certain,
Of course.
that they've identified themselves as that particular being or business, and now there's something different. So instead, they have to let go instead of beating themselves up. And you were diving into something, and I want to hear that. And we still want to help those introverts
Right.
with a better position for them than customer service.
Right.
So yes.
So you can start out with something that you use your skills on, that you really, really love. And a friend of mine, Gloria McDonald, had the same issue. She was telling this story at a summit that I did a year ago. And she had a 7-figure business in matchmaking. And that business basically collapsed over a 2-week period, crashed and burned. Right. And so she and I have this, how did yours crash and burn? How did yours crash and burn? We've got this story going on. But
wow.
she takes full responsibility for killing her business, because for a while she'd been feeling like, I've done this, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I really want to move on. But she didn't really know how to do that. And of course, energetically, she did it by a very unfortunate circumstance where her business crashed and burned over a 2-week period. And now, of course, she's rebuilt the business. She's a spectacular coach. She's a wonderful person, great lady. And she's off and running again. But it's really interesting that if we built up our identity one way and our energy is no longer there, the universe is going to take that identity away from you because it's just going to crash your business, right? So,
okay. So
right.
definitely following the energy, which brings us to, are there any daily practices that would help?
There are lots of daily practices that we can do that help. And meditation is an excellent daily practice because you always want to connect with your energy. You want to connect with your soul. You want to connect with your higher self. You want to connect with whatever you call spirit, the universe, God, whatever it is you want to call it. You always want to connect and get direction with them. So anytime, for example, if you're a coach, you know that you always ground yourself and then you connect to your highest and you allow that energy to flow through you for the highest good of the people that you're coaching. So that is a great daily practice. You always want to do that. And then if you're starting to feel like your identity is locked into something, but you're being called to do something else, then you've got a golden opportunity to start looking at that other thing on the side. While you continue to do whatever business it is that you think your identity is in, you can start to look at that other business on the side and start to build that. And then when you're ready, you be very honest with your audience. If you're going to continue in both areas, explain to them how you're going to continue. We were very fortunate in our old business, the LLC business. My husband is actually running that. And so when people call in, my husband he loves that business and he loves our clients. And so he's the guy that they talk to and they all love him. And then, yes, I still have things that I have to do and I can do them, with my eyes closed and I can help them in many different ways. But he's the prime in that business now so that I can focus more on the coaching. And so if you've got a partner like that, you can do that. Otherwise, be very honest with your people about, what it is that's calling you now. And how are you going to continue in your old business and your new business? Or are you going to shut one down and go off onto the new one? So all you need to do is to have a plan and be honest with people. There's a lady that I know who is just a sweetheart. And she said, you got to let your freak flag flow. And so, a lot of people in business are afraid
to
really
be themselves.
To be themselves because they have this part of them that is being called by their soul, being called by spirit, being called by the universe to do something. And they don't want to let anybody know that because, we're business people and we're serious about this. And right?
Yes, right.
That was me for years. Yeah. I really honestly believed in the way that energy worked. And I really wanted to help people with that. But, I was a business person and you can't tell people that because they're going to go running off for the hills.
They're going to say, oh, that's just way too woo. She's lost it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can't wear the t-shirt that says, I'm woo woo because, people are not going to accept that. Well, the thing that we have to really understand is, first of all, the universe is changing, the world is changing, and far more people are now exploring their woo-woo side, if you like, than ever before, because they're feeling this call, they're feeling this urge, they're understanding that the energy in the world is changing. And they want to be part of that. And they just don't know how. And so if you have been, in this area for a long time, as you have, Glenn, of course, you can help these people with this transition. You can help them to claim that woo-woo part of themselves and make it part of their business. And so if people say, well, you're just completely out to lunch, that's fine. They're not your people anymore, right? The people who are calling you, the people who really want to work with you, those are your people. And they will not only accept this part of you that's being called by your soul, that's being called by spirit, they will celebrate it. They will love it because they want that in you. That's why they're coming to you. They need that part of you. So don't be afraid, as Barb says, to let your free flag flow. Right?
Yes. And so before we wrap up, which we need to do here shortly, what type of job would you recommend for an introvert? Not customer service, obviously, because I don't want to leave all my introverts out there going, I'm banging my head against the wall in the bathroom. What can I do instead? So that,
Okay.
and then we'll go ahead and give your have you give your link so that people can get that 15-minute clarity call with you.
Okay, great. Okay, so if you are an introvert and you're banging your head against the wall because you're in an area that just does not suit you, then, and you've gone through the exercise, okay, of what do I not want? And then for everything that I don't want, what would make my heart sing? If you do that, you're probably going to find that you are best when you're dealing with people one-on-one, right? And so things like consulting, coaching, those types of areas, online courses, those sorts of things, or dealing with people one-on-one in any capacity is probably going to serve you better, because you can deal with that energy. And so if you've been in customer service, sitting for 10 years listening to people scream, you probably have a really good idea of what makes a good customer service system, right? And so you can go as a consultant to companies and say, I can design a system for you because I've been in customer service for 10 years and I know what doesn't work, and I know what makes people angry, and I know what makes them upset. And we can design something that will have people singing your praises.
Ooh.
Okay.
So create your own position.
That's right. You can do that. And then remember, when you do that, go inside, see how it feels. Do you feel joy? Or are you still like, oh my goodness, this isn't going to work? Right?
So find the joy inside, and
right.
that alignment, and what would make you sing. So what you don't like, what would make you sing instead? I love that.
Right. And
You go ahead. Yeah.
And you may, and this is what's going to drive your audience crazy. You may feel both things. You may feel like, oh, this is such a great opportunity, and you've got that little rumbling inside. That's simply a part of you saying, can I really do this? And that's
so there's a difference. There's a difference between being out of alignment and just being afraid of the unknown.
Right. So you may have joy in this thing that you're thinking, but you've got a little bit of limiting belief in there. You can deal with limiting beliefs. You can work with a coach to do that.
And you definitely want to work with Wendy. So why don't you go ahead and give us your Calendly link?
Well, I will give it to you, and we'll post it on the
we'll post
site.
We'll post it on the site as well. Yep.
Right. And we can do a 15-minute call, and that call is really set up to see whether or not we can work together. It's not to solve your problems. I don't want to mislead you.
Yeah. No, it's just are we a fit call?
Right. Are we a fit? Because there may be something going on with you where I would say, we're probably not a fit for this, but maybe you need to work with Gwen, or maybe you need to work with somebody else, and kind of set up that call. But if we're a fit, then we can set up another call to really look at what it is that you need to achieve. So I'd be happy to talk to you. Obviously, it would be great fun, and truly an honor to have a 15-minute call with you, and would love to do that. And Gwen, I just thank you so much for this opportunity to talk to your audience.
Yes, well, it's wonderful. I mean, you've helped me so much, and your work is really extraordinary. I highly recommend you. And so you have a Calendly link. It's Wendy Byford /15-minute. I will just put it underneath so people can just click the link. Definitely makes it easier. Yes. Any last words? Any last in a minute? One last thought.
My last thought is to send you blessings. Don't ever give up. For those of you who feel like this is your lot in life and there is no joy, don't ever give up. The universe loves you. You are enough. And one day you are going to discover what it is that brings you that joy.
Wendy Byford, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Gwen Leopard. Great to have you here in my little world.